It's time for the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. Stay tuned as we discuss what's happening in the world of local and national sports in Southeast Missouri and beyond. And welcome to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. I'm Mike Bueller.
I'm Mark Sanders. Kyle will be joining us a little bit later in the show.
But we have got a full show this week. We will be joined in a little bit by Three Rivers College women's basketball coaches Alex Wiggs and Brice Margenthaler. They are going to be talking about the Lady Raiders not only winning the Region 16 title this past Friday night, but the fact that they are headed to the national tournament for the 6th year in a row, and that's going to be fun. And we're going to be talking after that about the NCAA tournament that started last night with the first 4, and we'll be gearing up tomorrow with the round of 64. And before that, though, we are going to be talking a lot of high school basketball. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the Bunker Eagles. They won the Class 1 state championship. Brendan Malloy had 33 points and I believe 10 rebounds in that game. And hats off to the Bunker Eagles.
Yeah, their first state tournament victory for boys basketball in school history. So I was fortunate enough to see them play in the state quarterfinals against Cooter. That was a really exciting game, and glad to see that they made it all the way to the championship and got to hoist the trophy. Unfortunately, we can't say the same about the Hayti Indians. They did fall short in their championship game to Eugene. So Hayti, congratulations on finishing second in Class 2 boys basketball this season.
Indeed, and we have several teams, though, that are headed to Columbia now. We will start off with the Donovan Donets. They are playing this morning at 10 o'clock while we are producing the show, so we won't be able to talk a lot about that game, but they led off the Final Four with a rematch of last year's state championship game against the Benton Cardinals out of St. Joseph. The winner of that game will face either Stratford or Cardinal Ritter in either the championship for the state championship. The loser will face the loser of that game for third place.
Stratford looks terrifying. They're like 27-3. They're averaging more than 70 points a game. Yeah, so I mean it's going to be a tough hill to climb, and this Benton game, which again you'll know the outcome of that by the time you're listening to this podcast, we'll see. But we know one thing for sure: Adam Epps is going to have his squad ready to play, and we'll just roll the dice and see what happens. But all of our listening area is certainly pulling for the Donets and hoping that they can pull off the back-to-back championship.
Indeed. Me and some friends were talking in a group chat this morning, talking about how impressive that Stratford team is. That's going to be interesting. They played an impressive schedule. If the Donets do win it again, and we are rooting for them to do so, they will have to earn it. In other semifinal action today, the Jackson Lady Indians are playing Staley out of the Kansas City area in these state semifinals. I believe that game is at 2 o'clock, or is it 6 o'clock? 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
So that one shouldn't be tipping off until we get this on the air, because we're going on the air early this week because we want to get ahead of the NCAA tournament. That's going to be a good matchup, 27-1 Jackson versus 28-2 Staley. Mark, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, they're perfectly evenly matched on paper. Both teams averaging between 66 and 67 points on offense. Staley giving up 35, Jackson just under 30 points. So, I mean, this just comes down to, like most championship basketball, the little things: rebounding, avoiding turnovers, hitting the big shot when you need to get that big shot, and what I think is one of the most important things in championship basketball, hitting your free throws. Those free throws are key to everything.
Indeed. And Mark, since you got the screen, click on Jackson real quick. I want to look at something on them, because one thing that's really cool about this team, click on their roster if you would.
Sure thing. Here we go.
This Jackson team, and then click on grade, right up there, and click again.
Oh, again?
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing that really stands out with this Jackson team is they're really young. They have 2 seniors, 2 juniors, and the rest of them are underclassmen, including 2 of their most standout players, Lauren Dory and Kate Deck. So whatever happens at state, this Jackson team may have its best days ahead of them.
We can say the same thing about the Donets. Their top 3 players are let's see, Ellie White, Carson Haygood, Kenna Kirby, all juniors.
Bella
Monahan, freshman. Yeah, it's that team is going to be good year after year after year. They've really built a machine down there. We can say the same thing for Twin Rivers is going to be returning all of their players next season. They've got no graduating seniors. Their best player, one of their best players, Ivy Benson, is just a sophomore. Neelyville, of course, is losing Parker Ernst, but the rest of their team are underclassmen also. So we've got a lot of really talented girls teams that are just going to be as good or even better next season down here in Southeast Missouri.
It's going to be fun to watch. And switching to the boys' side, we had three teams. We had two teams playing for trips to the Final Four this past weekend. Dexter Bearcats lost to Potosi. They lost to Clayton in the state quarterfinals. That's a pretty good Clayton team. But that was a great year for Dexter. 20-10, their third district title in 4 years. They've got a lot of kids coming back next season, so they've got some good days ahead of them.
Yeah, they are losing Devin Turnbow and John Sepulveda, both of their graduating seniors, but one of their best players, probably their best outside shooter, Kyle Nichols, was just a freshman this year, so they're going to have 3 more years with him running the team at point guard. There's a lot to look forward to in Dexter.
He's going to be fun to watch, and he's got some good basketball in his DNA, as we've talked about some in the past. He's part of that Nichols family over there. Kyle's dad, Rob Nichols, is an assistant coach at Dexter. Kyle's mom, Christy Nichols, played for the Lady Raiders back in the mid-'90s, played on their first national tournament team in 1995, and Christy's older brother and Kyle's uncle, Benji Johnson, played on the 1992 Raiders men's national championship team. So that there's some good basketball DNA in that family.
Yeah. Something else I want to just point out to our listeners, because we don't have video, this is just audio only. Mike is literally an encyclopedia of sports knowledge. He's not looking at notes or looking at his phone or anything. He's pulling all of these details out of his memory. It's astounding. All I can say is that if I ever have an opportunity to play on a sports trivia game for money, I definitely want you on my team.
And you know what? I'm not the only person that has that kind of knowledge. Our co-host, Kyle, is known as the Human Sports Encyclopedia. That doesn't hurt to have that kind of knowledge. And switching to Class 5, Sykeston and Vianney engaged in a memorable game. And something you might know if you follow us on Facebook, one of the really cool things that happened, we had Sean Cole Sr. on our podcast last week talking about the 1996 Richland basketball team that just celebrated the 30th anniversary of its state championship. Well, 30 years after Sean Sr. led Richland to a state title, Sean's son, Sean Cole Jr., helped Dexter get to the Final Four. Dexter Sykeston get to the Final Four, because in the closing seconds of that game this past Saturday against Vianney, Sykeston was down 60-59. Sean Jr. gets the steal to get the ball back for Sykeston. They pass it around some, and then they kick it to an open Sean Jr., who pops the go-ahead and eventual game-winning 3 to send Sykeston to Columbia. Now, how much of a coming full circle moment is that?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty amazing thing. Their opponent in the Final Four are going to be the Raytown South Cardinals, and I really like this matchup, at least on paper, for the Bulldogs. Sykeston sitting at 28-2, whereas Raytown's record is less impressive, sitting at 18-11. Sykeston is averaging 77 points a game, whereas Raytown is scoring just under 60 points. Sykeston's giving up 52.7 points a game. It's about the same for Raytown, 53.9. But Sykeston does appear to have the advantage in terms of average scoring. And when you look at Raytown's path to actually get to this point in the tournament, the teams that they played to win in their district, which is District 7, had records of 6-21, 15-13 and 16-11. So that was not a juggernaut district that Raytown worked their way through. And then their state sectional game was against Lincoln College Prep, a little bit better record of 20-10. But I would wager, just looking at the record of Raytown South this entire season, they have not played a game against a team with a record anywhere close to what Sykeston has amassed this season. They played a Kearney team that was 20-6. They did win that game. They won both games against Kearney, who finished 20-6. They lost to a team from Battle High School.
Columbia.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, they're
okay.
out of Columbia.
Yeah, and they finished the season 20-9. They lost that. So, I mean, again, we don't play these games on paper. It's not fantasy basketball. You got to perform out on the court. But I certainly don't look at this game and say, well, Sykes is underdogs. They're going to have to work really hard, to do this game.
Having said that, Raytown South does have some good tradition. They've won 4 state titles. They have finished runner-up 3 more times and have took third twice and fourth twice.
That is an older tradition, though. 3 of their 4 state titles were in the 1970s, and their most recent one was in 1990, which, if my math is correct, is 36 years ago.
That's true. One thing that you might find cool is that 1990 Raytown South team was led by a future Missouri Tiger named Javon Crudup.
Really? I haven't heard that name in a long, long time.
Yeah, that was Javon Crudup's team.
Yeah. Sykeston is attempting to win their second overall state championship. They took the title back in 2011, and they're looking for a repeat of that 15 years later.
It's hard to believe it's been 15 years, Mark.
Time flies when you're having fun and when you're getting older, as we both are aware of. Anything else in the boys brackets that we need to look at?
Not that I can think of. The all district teams came out earlier this week. That's on our Facebook page for classes. Well, all district for classes 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Those came out on our Facebook page. Also want to give a shout out to Lane Ballou and the Big Blue Wrecking Crew down at Gulf Coast State in Panama City, Florida. They are going to the NJCAA Men's Tournament in Hutchinson, Kansas. They got an at-large bid. They are the number 14 seed, and they are opening with Brunswick out of North Carolina. As I know, Lane's been on the show before. He is a Three Rivers College alumnus, also an alumnus of Advance High School. And Gulf Coast State, under his leadership, is going to be making their first national tournament appearance since 1972.
Yeah, that is an impressive feat. We know when Brian Best retired, before Three Rivers had made their decision to hire Coach Robert Kirby. I know Lane Ballou was one of the names that you were talking about, and I think we may have mentioned him on the show as a potential candidate. He ended up going to a different school, and Coach Kirby's had a lot of success with his first couple of seasons here at Three Rivers, so I think everything's trending in a good direction in both places.
Indeed so. A bit of cool trivia. If you go to our Facebook page, I have a link to my Substack. I actually did a nice little interview with Lane earlier this week, talking about, their run to Hutch, and they are making their debut at Hutch on Saturday. That's going to be on ESPN Plus, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. The national tournament appearance, the NJCAA men's and women's tournaments are both going to be on ESPN Plus up till the championship game, and that's a good watch.
Yep. You can also check in at our Facebook page. Again, that's the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. Look for us on Facebook. Give us a friend, and you can follow all of the latest in sports. We'll be keeping you up to date with all of the local interest for state, college, and professional sports.
Indeed, we will, and we are going to take a break. When we come back, we will be joined by Alex Wiggs and Brice Margenthaler, and then later on, we're going to be talking about the NCAA four-year college basketball tournament here on the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
This is Three Rivers College women's basketball coach Alex Wiggs, and you are listening to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
And welcome back to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. And we are joined now by a couple of special guests. We are joined by Three Rivers College women's head coach Alex Wiggs and assistant coach Brice Margenthaler. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, thank you.
First of all, guys, congratulations. You are going back to the national tournament. That is 6 years in a row. And, since there wasn't a national tournament in 2020, it's actually 7 years in a row.
Yeah, I got started my last 2 years as the assistant with Coach Walk. We made it, I believe that was 2019, 2020, that we made it the first year with actually assistant coach Jordan Little as the starting point guard. So she was a point guard on that team, and then like you said, COVID happened. Coach Walk retired, and just been very fortunate that we've been 6 straight years.
Impressive. And speaking of impressive, y'all got a very impressive victory this past Friday night up at State Fair. You'd lost up there twice earlier in the season, but this past Friday night, you didn't just beat them. You dominated them. I mean, you got a double-digit lead at the end of the first half, and you pretty well kept the double digits the rest of the way.
Yeah, first game, we had Amelia back this past weekend. It was really nice to have her back, and the girls went up there, played extremely well, and State Fair made some runs, but were able to hang on in a tough environment.
How good did it feel for you and the team to turn the tables on State Fair? Because they came to Poplar Bluff last season when you guys were ranked really high at the top and upset you in a really tough game. So how did that feel to repay them this year for that?
With only 3 returners back, only a few of them were in that moment. But trust me, I let it be known kind of what happened last year. And just that opportunity, last year was in the same, and I say same situation. We beat them 3 times during the regular season, and they came to our place and beat us in the region tournament. So kind of gave the girls, that confidence as far as, hey, even though we're playing there, we can still go up there and get the job done.
So you have a lot of experience now, so personally coaching experience and being part of this national tournament. What is it at the national tournament level? Obviously, the level of competition is just terrific across the board, but what else is different about that experience, and what are you telling your team to expect?
Everybody there's good. We've got the top 24 teams in the country there, so there's not going to be a bad team there. So really it's going to be about who does the little things well, who rebounds, who guards, and who takes care of the ball. Right. Those 3 things, and doing those 3 things will win you a lot of games, but it just kind of magnifies those little bitty things at the national tournament because, again, everybody there is good. Everybody there can score the ball. Everybody there can do that stuff. And so this week will be big on preparation, getting prepared for the other team and just making sure that we are locked in and ready to do our attention to detail and all that stuff.
Right.
And speaking of the other team, you open next Wednesday with Monroe out of New York. Tell me about them.
Monroe's good. They're 23-6 on the season. They've got really talented point guard. I've watched a little bit of film. I know Coach Brice has watched a lot more film than I have. But they 3-quarter court press us, 1-2-2, 1-2-1-1. They like to get out and run. They like to score a lot of points. So I know that we're going to have to control their point guard. 2, they shoot 35 threes a game. So we're going to have to really, really guard the 3-point line and make them not only put it on the floor, but also our help defense and our rotations have got to be really, really good. And then the third thing is they rebound it really well, which fortunately State Fair is really good at all those things too, Crowder, Mineral Area. So we have experience from our region play of teams that shoot the ball a lot, that are really good rebounding teams. And so we've just got to make sure that we box out and like I said, control those 3 things that I talked about earlier.
Indeed, Brice, and you've watched a lot of film on these folks. What stands out the most to you about Monroe?
Yeah, they're really very talented, experienced group. A lot of sophomores on their team. Their post player is a Division II transfer that was actually an All-American in Division II level last year. So she's very, very talented. But no, bringing a lot of experience. I know their coach went last year to Division II national tournament, so he brings a lot of experience. But no, just very excited to see him. But I know they're very talented.
Indeed. And one big difference this year with the national tournament is after many years out in Casper and dealing with the snow and the cold, it's going to be in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and that's a lot warmer because that's almost in Texas, and I'll let you go from there.
Yeah, it is. My first 3 years is in Lubbock, Texas. The last 2, it's been Casper, Wyoming, and now in Lake Charles. And do not have to worry about blizzards. Do not have to worry about the altitude and the adjustments to that.
Don't have to worry about time zone change.
Exactly.
It's a day bus trip rather than a flight to Denver and then still a 3-4 hour drive up to Casper.
That you told me, I think either last year or the year before, the logistics of the travel, and it sounded like the pioneers crossing the mountains in a covered wagon.
Yeah. On the way back, we took a Three Rivers bus, picked us up from the airport, and then we just bussed back. It was 18 hours on the bus. And so, again, this is half that. This is 9 hours on a bus. And just because of that, I like that. We don't have to get there 3-4 days earlier to get acclimated to the altitude, and so it's a day drive, I think, for over half of the teams at the national tournament this year. Whereas in Casper, I think there was 2 teams that it was a day drive,
right?
And so I think every team will be fresh. They'll be more fresh. They'll be kind of a little bit more pep in their step.
A question that I have for you, just about the logistics of your system and how you recruit and how you identify players. I mean, obviously, however you look at it, 6-7 years in a row, being able to go to the national tournament, but it is a 2-year institution. So, I mean, even if you get one of your young ladies redshirting, the most you're going to have them for is 3 years at the most. So there's a lot of turnover every year. So how do you strategize for that? How do you look at potential recruits? How do you look at restocking your team season after season?
Yeah, last year we graduated 12 players, so we have 12 new ones in this year, 9 freshmen. And the biggest thing we look for is we want winners. We want kids who have been in those high-pressure situations, who have played in those high-pressure games, who have that experience, because, there's really nothing that you can do besides play in those moments to gain that experience. Right. You can do drills, you can work on it in practice, but until you actually experience it, you don't know kind of what you don't know. Right. So number one thing is we want winners. We want kids that are able to buy into a system, and typically those winners, those teams that have competed at a high level, those kids have bought into their system, because, and we say it all the time, like, winning is hard.
Yes.
If winning was easy, everybody would be doing it. So it takes that amount of discipline, not only on the court, but then it's off the court, in the classroom, all those things. And so we really want kids that have played big-time travel ball, that have played big-time high school ball, that and then it's finding out what our needs are for that year, because like you said, because of COVID, we had a lot of super sophomores, and so that made our class get kind of uneven, where we need 12 one year, and then the next year, okay, we only need 3 to 4, then the next year we need 12, and I'll be honest with you, I really enjoy that, because this year going into it, we had 12 new kids. We as a coaching staff knew that we had to go back to the basics. So everybody was learning kind of at the same pace, and whereas like next year, it's going to be, okay, you guys already know this, so now let's add to it, let's move on, let's kind of advance kind of what we've been doing as freshmen. And so I enjoy kind of how my classes are, how our classes are, because of every other year I know that, okay, we've got to really, really work on basics this year. Okay, the next year we can really add to what we've been doing and continue the growth of not only the players but of the program.
Right. The other thing that I know about firsthand, because I am a professor at Three Rivers College, and I have a lot of your and have had a lot of your players, is that, you know, unlike your sort of stereotypical big universities where the academic requirements are kind of suspect, all of your girls are expected to be in class and perform. So, I mean, scholarship, leadership, character, those are all things that you're looking for in your team.
Yeah, you know, we talked to him, and Coach does a great job of keeping up with their academics and of running study hall and of doing all that. And, you know, we kind of have our three things are, one, you're going to get an education.
Yes.
That's the number one thing. Like, do not come here if you're not willing to put your education first. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm competitive in everything that we do, and I want to always have one of the best GPAs of the athletic programs at Three Rivers. You know, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it works, but that's always the goal. Number two is we're going to give back to the community, because without the community here, so if you don't want to be a leader in the community, if you're not willing to give back, if you're not willing to volunteer, this isn't the place for you. And then the third thing is we're going to win. We're going to work hard, and winning, again, is an outcome. We're going to do what it takes to put ourselves in the best position to win. We may not, but I like our chances. If we do this, and this every single day, we give ourselves a really good chance, really good opportunity to win.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I talk about in the classroom is that the attitude of putting your best effort into everything you do. If you kind of go, if you attack your studies halfway, if you think, well, good enough is good enough, it's like that's an attitude that carries over onto the court, onto the field. You have to strive for excellence. If it's important enough to do, it's important enough to do your very best.
Right. And that's the thing, is I know some of them, you know, love the academic side. Some of them, not so much. And it's like, well, it really, to be a college athlete, guess what? You better learn to fall in love with it, because you can like basketball, you can love it all you want, but if you don't take care of your academics, if you don't take care of that side of things, you're not going to be out there playing.
Right.
And so there's, again, that's part of life, that's part of growing up is, guess what? There's some things that you may not love or may not like, but you better learn. You better learn to find a way to do your best in it, so that way you're able to do what you love and what you enjoy doing.
Yeah, the other thing that I also emphasize, you know, the cliche in sports, Father Time remains undefeated. It's like even if you go to the top levels of success in your sport, your time will expire a lot quicker than you think it's going to, you know, and having an education to support you or having a direction to go afterward is just so important. And to me, that's the most important thing that colleges can offer to student athletes is a future beyond their playing time.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about and you're running out of tomorrows. And by that is what you talked about, like, there may not be a tomorrow where eventually your career is going to be over. Mm-hmm. So you've got to do what you need to do today to set yourself up for tomorrow.
Right.
Because you're running out of, well, we had a bad practice. Oh, it's okay, we have tomorrow. Well, guess what? Like, I had a bad game. Oh, I have tomorrow. Well, you know, at the end of your career, there's not going to be one. So why don't you do what you're you know, capable of, do your best today to help set yourself up for a better tomorrow.
Yeah, and a great attitude to go into a national tournament for, where there literally is no tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's win or go home.
Yeah.
Indeed. Guys, anything else you'd like to add?
Hey, we just want to thank everybody. Thank you guys We want to thank the community. We want to thank Three Rivers College. Really, the support that we've had is second to none, and we are just want to thank everybody. Follow our social medias. I know you'll be telling people how to watch the games and all that stuff, and you'll be doing your reporting and all that. But we just encourage people. This is a fun group of young ladies, and we just ask that keep cheering them on, keep supporting them, and we appreciate everything.
I haven't seen anything from CJ yet. Are you having a send-off event when you depart?
So
Lake Charles?
We are in the process of getting that up. We are departing at 7 a.m., so it's a little early, but on Sunday it is a 9-hour drive, but obviously with stops and with all that stuff, it'll turn into a little bit longer day. And then we start practice Monday at noon, our first practice down there in Louisiana at McNeese University. So we've got to get down there and get ready to go for that Monday, and then we play on Wednesday at 2:30.
Okay, so those of you in the Poplar Bluff area, if you're getting up early on a Sunday for church anyway, get up a little bit earlier and come and send the Lady Raiders off with a lot of support.
Yep, we'll be there at Libla.
There you go. And one more thing, guys. National tournament for women and men both will be televised on ESPN Plus up till the championship games. Those will be on ESPNU if I'm correct. So that's a good way to watch those. And guys, that is Alex Wiggs and Brice Margenthaler from the Three Rivers College women's basketball team here on the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
This is Three Rivers men's basketball coach Robert Kirby, and you are listening to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
And we are back on the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle, and we are now joined by Kyle, and Kyle's going to be talking a lot of NCAA basketball because he knows a lot more about the NCAA basketball tournament than we do. Kyle, take her away.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, everybody, and I do know more than all of you, and I know it, and now you do as well. Happy March Madness. What a beautiful time of year, man. It is the absolute best, and we've already had 2 play-in tournament games. Texas won last night on a last-second buzzer beater to beat NC State. So now that we've got our first buzzer beaters out of the way, we are officially knee-deep in it. And a huge congratulations to the Howard Bison for winning their first-ever NCAA tournament game. And shout-out to always HBCUs when they do their thing. Now, as we are recording right now, we have another 16 and 11 matchup tonight. 5:40 p.m. We have a 16 seed in the South region as Prairie View A&M again. Shout out to HBCUs. And a school I'm unfortunately very familiar with Lehigh, who famously back in 2012 in 2013 knocked Duke out of the first round of the tournament as a 15 seed. Shout out to C.J. McCollum and the Atlanta Hawks, who led that team. I endure a lot of pain from my mother every time Duke loses in the first round of a tournament. So I hope that doesn't happen this year. Also, in our 11 matchup at 8:15, we feature SMU coming in at 20-13. That's a lot of losses for a team to get in as an at-large against the team everybody talked about this year, 31-1 Miami of Ohio out of the MAC. They did not win their conference tournament, and people like Bruce Pearl tried to argue, well, I don't think they should get in. They didn't play anybody.
I hate Bruce Pearl. I freaking hate Bruce Pearl.
No,
Why is he still on television?
You know what? I'm in a good mood today, and I'm not about to get too mad. But no, because I'm not about to ruin my day over somebody that don't matter.
Yeah.
But to your point, if that's the case, why do all these schools, why do they play basketball in the first place? Why even have athletic departments if you're going to continue to push the goalpost back on them?
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Miami got upset in the MAC tournament by UMass, and Akron went on to win the tournament. With us get it for only the second time. The MAC is a 2-bid league, which again, shout out as a great year for the Mid-American Conference, but they're in a play-in, and they shouldn't be.
No,
but I'm thinking Miami to win anyway.
Well, and according to ESPN, SMU is favored by 6.5 points.
And I don't understand why. These kids cannot control who they play. You play who's in front of you, and you do what you got to do. And Miami did that 31 times. They finished the regular season undefeated and are still having to do this.
Yeah.
It is nonsense. SMU is a sub 500 ACC team. They were 9-11 in conference play. Sure, their strength of schedule was tougher, but guess what? SMU doesn't really have to worry about.
Okay.
They don't have to worry about teams telling them, no, we don't want to play you because there's nothing to gain.
Right.
Click. Sorry.
Yeah, that's it, Kyle. That's it. I've found my Cinderella team. It's Miami of Ohio.
You're going with Miami of Ohio?
Yeah,
I'm cool on that.
As long as they're in it, that's who I'm rooting for.
Dude, I am so good with that.
All right,
my Cinderella, we're staying local. I'm going with Milk Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Robbie Avila and the St. Louis Billikens to make a deep run.
A deep run, boy. That's a lot to ask for. They're going up against SEC Georgia in the 8-9 matchup, and then if they get past the Bulldogs, they're going to have to take on the number 1 seed Michigan Wolverines.
I believe Georgia can be had. They're the SEC has maybe 2 teams that you really got to worry about. The rest of the teams are very wishy-washy. And the one team, you obviously have Florida as your top seed. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my power conference Final Four sleeper. I'm going to get them out of the way now. The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Darius Acuff is the best player in the country, bar none.
Well,
he has an argument to be the best player ever coached by John Calipari already.
Well, and Calipari's the cheat code. I mean, it's like you want to talk about a coach who knows how to win in postseason. Coach Cal's your guy.
He absolutely is. I have another sleeper in the East region, and it does pain me because Duke is the top overall seed, and they're the top seed in this region. But my sleeper to win the national championship is, you talked about a coach is a cheat code, Rick Pitino and St. John's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that is
they're a 5.
Yeah, and that's worth rooting for because if they make it to the second round, they're probably going to play Kansas. And my philosophy in the NCAA is always ABK, anyone but Kansas.
But Kansas, you damn right. Every single year, ew.
A couple other contests I want to look at. Just below that in the East, we got Louisville taking on South Florida, and if they move on, they're probably taking on number 3 Michigan State. What do you think about that potential matchup?
I'm calling upset there, and here's why. South Florida's head coach is a former head coach at Arkansas State, and the last 2 A-State head coaches are currently coaching in the dance this year.
Interesting.
And we're a good bridge program, which I believe A-State did win 20 games this year. So they had a solid year. But USF they're basically a power conference team in a mid-major program. They're in the American Conference, which might as well just be the part of the old Big East. I would absolutely not be shocked if they knock off Louisville at all.
Interesting. Moving on to the South bracket, we've got, I believe, defending champion, the Florida Gators, seeded number 1. I've got Florida in the Final Four again this season. Is there anyone in the South bracket who you see upsetting the Gators?
Only right now, it feels like a chalk region. The only lower seed that I think could go on a spirited run is St. Mary's out of the West Coast Conference, which they did a beautiful job of sending Gonzaga packing to the Big 12 in the West Coast tournament. But this almost feels like a chalk region. Yeah. Illinois has all the pieces to really give Florida a huge run.
Do you think
North Carolina's a one and done to me? So is Nebraska.
Okay, so you're picking VCU to upset the Tar Heels in the first round.
Yeah, because anybody but UNC. But also, I've watched North Carolina this year. They're fraudulent as a 6.
Bold statement. I'll tell you, a team in the South.
Don't buy it.
A team in the South that I think is actually underseeded is Vanderbilt at number 5. They had a great regular season. They tore through the Southeastern Conference, but they're just a 5 seed. They're taking on McNeese in the first round, and then they're likely and then if they when they're going to play the winner of the Nebraska-Troy. And is there a possibility of Troy upsetting the Cornhuskers in that 4-13 matchup?
Yes, there is, and a big reason why. Again, I've seen a decent amount of Sun Belt men's hoops. Of course, I keep tabs with the Red Wolves. The Sun Belt is a good mid-major conference, one of the best ones, honestly. But also, Nebraska has never won a tournament game. This is an abnormal, and again, I've never disliked Nebraska men's basketball simply because there's no reason to care.
I was about to say, they've been mid for like the past 60 years. But getting back to my first question, do you see Vandy making a run in the South?
They could, but also McNeese State is no slouch whatsoever. They put on a really good performance last year. I believe they did get to the second round, and they're a dangerous 12 seed with 28 wins. Yeah. That's extremely scary, and they were 21-3 in Southland Conference play. That's a decent mid-major conference as well. So again, that's another one to keep an eye out for. And McNeese State only allows 66 points per game, and that is very key that's very key in tournament play when the game slows down. So that's one of those 5-12s you got to be really careful with.
Let's move out to the West. We've got top-seeded Arizona with a potential matchup against Villanova. Villanova's an 8 team against number 9 Utah State, but I always like Villanova whenever they're in the tournament. We're also looking at a potential second-round matchup between Wisconsin and the aforementioned Arkansas, which, again, I like Arkansas's chances in the tournament. At the bottom of that bracket, we've got Gonzaga sitting at number 3, Purdue at number 2, and then the first-round matchup that most of our listeners will be most interested in, number 7 Miami taking on the 10th-seeded Missouri Tigers. Kyle, I think Mizzou is just lucky to get in, but now that they're in the dance, Miami is only favored by 1.5. Missouri certainly can win this game. The question is, will they win this game?
Yeah, and I got a big gut. Some bitch don't lie to me, though. It's big, but it never steers me wrong, and I genuinely do believe that Missouri's not going to win this basketball game. They're incredibly inconsistent. For having a lot of talent on this team led by Mark Mitchell, who was second-team All-SEC this year, averages 18-5, but he's a one-man show. He leads the team in points, rebounds, and assists. Miami has depth, and they ran a much tougher gamut this year. So I got the Canes winning. I just think, again, we are way too inconsistent, and we give up almost as many points as we score per game. So that's a big thing. If the game gets out in the open and becomes a bit of a track meet, that does favor us a little bit. But I think if it slows down, we don't have strong enough post defense to deal with the Hurricanes. They have more size than we do. I would take Miami to win. And, again, with Missouri men's basketball, if we do happen to lose this game, again, it's playing the long game because of the monster recruiting class we have coming in next year. I'm glad we made it. I did not genuinely think we would, quite frankly. But I got Miami winning in our matchup. Yeah. That is on March 20th.
I think that chalk in the West is likely to give us probably the most memorable matchups potentially in the Sweet 16, because we'd be looking at Arizona against Arkansas, and then at the bottom of that bracket, Gonzaga and Purdue. Those would just be some monster games.
I want you, and also keep an eye out if y'all don't know about, because this is the most stacked freshman class of college basketball players I have ever seen up to this point. AJ Dybasta of BYU. Keep an eye out for him. If you don't know about him, he is an absolute beast. 25 points per game as a freshman. True freshman. Keep an eye out if you haven't. If you don't know, you're going to find out. And, of course, that's what March Madness does. It makes stars into legends.
So our last bracket's down in the Midwest. We've already talked about St. Louis sitting at the 9 seed. Michigan is actually my pick to win it all this season. I picked Michigan to win the national championship over Florida. After this talk today, though, I think I'm going to go into our bracket challenge and take out a second one that tries to predict some of those upsets. But I'll tell you what, to be honest, looking at the rest of the Midwest bracket, I don't really see a team that I like better than Michigan. I don't like Alabama at the 4 seed. I don't like Virginia at the 3. I definitely don't like Iowa State at the 2 seed. Sorry to my friend Bill Williams, who has been in Ames for like the past 30 years since college. I think Kentucky at 7 is a fraud. I think they're fool's gold. I definitely don't like Tennessee. If Miami of Ohio beats SMU, I'm going to pick them to upset Tennessee. I mean, who else is there other than Michigan in the Midwest?
Honestly, nobody. This is thank you for saying it without me having to say that Kentucky is absolutely fraudulent as a 7. The name of the university in a 7 seed. They are not like that this year.
I can't name a single player on Kentucky. I don't even know. I mean, I don't follow it that closely, but I mean, usually with UK, I mean, it's a legendary program. Who's their head coach? I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
And the sad part is, for me, at this point right now, I would. Yes, there's something I don't know immediately, but y'all, I just got off work. I'm tired. However, I'm thinking Santa Clara in that 7-10 matchup.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm going with Steve Nash U to pick them. And also this one right here specifically is for a buddy of mine out here, Ryan Graham, who absolutely hates the University of Virginia. He hates them because of UMBC. Okay. And every year they're in the tournament, he picks them to lose on purpose, because the one year he picked them to win the national championship, they were a 1 seed and they lost to a 16. Then the next year they came back and won the whole thing. So every single year I have to hear about it, and I troll them every opportunity I get. They play Wright State. That could be your 3-14 upset right there. But also, this might be the region with a lot of double-digit upsets. Yeah. Akron is a very good 12 seed. Hofstra is a sneaky nice 13 seed, coached by Hofstra legend and former NBA point guard Speedy Claxton, who making our first postseason appearance since he played there in 2001. Alabama's a fraud as a 4. To me, Georgia, they can completely be had as an 8 seed by St. Louis, which would set up for, I think, the most intriguing second-round matchup, Michigan and St. Louis.
That would be really brilliant. That would be your classic David and Goliath matchup, and that is still, we can quibble about the seeds, but when we're talking about democracy in sports and giving everybody a chance, I mean, that is just the brilliance of the first round of the NCAA tournament, is that you have these huge upsets, and there's just nothing, for me at least, quite like the thrill of watching on Thursday and Friday when this gets started, and they're switching around to the different games. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I still keep a satellite television subscription, is for sports events like this, and they have the upset alerts, and you turn over, and a 12 is like 5 points ahead of a 5 with 30 seconds left. It's just the excitement
best.
Level is unmatched.
It is the absolute best. And you know what the beautiful thing about March Madness is, and why it is the perfect collegiate sports format. You don't know anything about St. Peter's other than what they did a couple years ago when they went to the Elite Eight. You may not know anything about Oakland University in Michigan, but you remember Jack Golke shooting the lights out of Kentucky I think it was either last year or 2 years ago. Or, oh, God, Loyola Chicago, God rest her soul, Sister Jean. You know about them. We know and remember George Mason in 2006 going to the Final Four, or VCU going to the Final Four, or Butler going to back-to-back national championship games and nearly beating Duke on a half-court buzzer beater by Gordon Hayward. You may not hear about those schools year-round for collegiate athletics, but when it comes March, and if they make a mark that is unforgettable, we all remember, and we remember those guys.
Yeah.
And they become campus legends. And There's nothing better. There's just nothing better than this.
Before we close the book on college basketball, we would be remiss without mentioning the women's tournament. I just want to point out something that I find just endlessly hilarious, especially for those of you who like gambling. Because there's going to be a ton wagered on the men's tournament. But look at some of these point spreads for the top seeds in the women. UConn, 54.5 point favorite in their round one game. UCLA, 51.5 point favorite. In the 3 and 4 regionals, the 16 seeds have not been decided yet, but we can look at those 2 seeds. Iowa with the 2 seed, a 31.5 point favorite. Michigan, a 41.5 point favorite. And it really tells you the difference between the women's game and the men's game is that the top women's teams are really much, much better than the lower level of competition.
But you also have on a lot of teams like especially UConn and South Carolina, their next 5 off the bench are better than some of these smaller schools' starting 5. The women's college basketball recruiting, the talent disparity is way greater than it is in men's college basketball.
Right.
It's just the way it is. And I'll use an example of one of my favorite, women's college basketball players of all time, Elena Deladon, who will be going to the Basketball Hall of Fame one day. She got a full ride scholarship to go to UConn, but she chose to stay home and play at Delaware. And how rare is it for a school like that to get a homegrown in-state player to stay home and not take the obvious gravy train to go play for Gino Auriemma, or in a current sense, a Dawn Staley at South Carolina or a Kim Mulkey at LSU.
Yeah,
it's a completely different thing. And speaking of South Carolina, since they're waiting on one of the play-in, they're waiting for their play-in opponent. I'm scared to see what the spread's going to be there. Jeez. It's nonsense. I'm looking at a 4-13 that I think could be a much closer game. Oklahoma and Idaho. Shout out to the Vandals for my NCAA football players. If you know, you know. But that's 34.5 points. Yeah. I think that could be closer. But the gap is just nonsense.
Well, the one local rooting interest, and it's local for you over in Southwest Missouri, the Missouri State Lady Bears will be taking on Stephen F. Austin in a play-in game, and the Lady Bears are favored by 2.5 points. So we'll be pulling for Missouri State to get in as a 16 seed, and then who knows after that? They probably won't get any farther than that. But
sure.
I mean, you never know.
They ain't got no Jackie Stiles on that team. And for the younger listeners, if you don't know who Jackie Stiles is, she was Caitlin Clark well before Caitlin, and I've always said she was better than her. But I digress. Go do your homework on Jackie Stiles and the 2001 Lady Bears that made the Final Four.
Well, if they do get that play-in game, they will be in the Regional 3 in Fort Worth and take on the top-seeded Texas Lady Longhorns. So that's going to be a large task. But that's what it looks like. Tune in again next week when we will have all of the fallout and the tears over busted brackets and everything else. But when we come back, we will be taking a deep dive into the offseason in the National Football League. You're listening to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
This is Three Rivers College women's basketball coach Alex Wiggs, and you are listening to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
And welcome back to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. And our final block this week, we are doing our weekly deep dive into the National Football League. And I'm leading off with my Tennessee Titans because last Thursday night, we got some new uniforms, y'all, and we are going back to the future because our new uniforms are heavily inspired by the old Houston Oilers, and those little powder blue uniforms are pretty awesome. So I'm pretty happy with this. Mark, Kyle, what are your thoughts?
It's like Earl Campbell's back on the field again, and frankly, you guys could use a running back like Earl Campbell. But no, in all seriousness, I think they're beautiful uniforms. When I first saw the pictures, I was like, oh yeah, this is terrific, and I really think that it's a great move, and it's the perfect time with the new coaching staff. And I see it as a breath of fresh air. It's going to work well with the Titans moving into their new stadium down there in Nashville. And I think, if you guys can match the promise of some of your free agent signings, we'll have to see who you get in the draft. But, I mean, you're sitting pretty at that number 4 seed. You're going to get an impact starter no matter who you pick. I mean, you really can't go wrong. Any of the top 10 draft picks on the consensus big boards are all players who could contribute to your team. So if I were you sitting as a Titans fan, I would feel really good going into the upcoming season.
And you were talking about us needing another Earl Campbell. We may have a shot at one guy named Jeremiah Love.
That's true.
I was about to say, if he's available at 4, Mike, you got to take him, especially with the pantheon of running backs in your franchise history. That's just one of those marriages that always works, whether it's the Oilers or the Titans. It's Earl Campbell, Eddie George, Derrick Henry, Chris Johnson. Tony Pollard, is a good back, but this guy is an immediate impact player. Now, in regards to your unis, it's hard to mess up a good powder blue. And I love that you went back to your old alternate unit logo that you had in the McNair days, but you made it that powder blue. The aesthetic is great. It fits with the new stadium, as Mark alluded to, and it's the signaling of, hey, this is the new era of Titans football. We are excited about it. We want you to get excited. And honestly, with the moves you made this offseason, I would have a little bit of optimism going forward if I was you.
I actually do. I think we've got a shot to be better, and we still got some cap money left, so we may not be done shopping. Cool trivia about Jeremiah Love. He is from St. Louis County, born in University City, played his high school football at CBC.
Yeah, and
another in-state running back that didn't go to Mizzou. Remember the last top 5 running back that didn't go to Missouri? Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah. Missouri has a long and glorious history of losing 5-star recruits to other universities. That's just part of who we are. But I've seen a lot of mock drafts lately that have the Arizona Cardinals drafting Love at number 3. Here's why I don't think that will happen. Their quarterback room is currently Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew.
They also just signed Tyler Algier.
Yeah, the Cardinals are already planning on tanking for Arch Manning. I mean, you can see it right.
It's not Arch Manning. It's Trinidad Shambles out of Ole Miss. Arch is not the number 1 prospect next year.
Well, whoever the number 1 prospect. I mean, next year's draft is going to be just an incredible assortment of riches in terms of quarterback prospects, and I think it's pretty clear that Arizona has no interest in winning this season. They're lining up all of their ducks for next year's draft. But even if Love is not available for you at number 4, there's going to be a number of top flight defensive players, linebacker Sonny Styles. Who's the top safety from Ohio State? The guy number 1.
Caleb Downs.
Caleb Downs. Edge rusher Reuben Bain Jr. and let's see, there was
David Bailey, Arville
David
Reeser,
Bailey out of Texas Tech.
And I was also thinking, if you want to go offense with that number 4 pick, having Carnell Tate as a number 1 wide receiver for Cam Ward to throw to would be an outstanding choice.
There you go.
That would be incredibly ideal. I mean, you pair a number 1 receiver with your number 1 quarterback and let those guys develop that chemistry immediately. I mean, Mike, you really have the most options and the most flexibility and a lot of picks and a lot of cap space. Like, you're in a great situation.
Yeah, and really, you're sitting at number 4, but you actually have the number 3 pick, because everybody knows that Las Vegas is taking Fernando Mendoza with the number 1 pick. That's a no-question, no-brainer. So the top of the draft actually starts with pick number 2.
Yeah. And, Kyle, I know you've got some thoughts on some stuff, so I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, I'm very upset at an NFL team, and I was thinking about this literally at my job last night. That it dawned on me with the trade of Jalen Waddle to the Denver Broncos, and now knowing that the Miami Dolphins have $175 million in dead money among 16 players, this team legitimately signed Malik Willis to a 3-year, $67 million contract to be a tank command.
Poor Malik Willis. I mean, if he hasn't fired his agent already, he's certainly going to if the latest rumor that Miami is looking to unload Devin Achane comes true.
According to Adam Schefter, teams that have contacted Miami have been told he is not available.
Well,
however, get him out of there. Now, the Miami Dolphins they basically just trapped Malik Willis into a contract. Yeah, he got his big boy money, and congratulations to him. But you've been baited into leading a team into hell. Good luck with 2-15.
Yeah, let me play devil's advocate here for you for just a second, because the people currently running the Miami Dolphins came from Green Bay, and what does Green Bay do as well as any other team except maybe the Philadelphia Eagles, and that is draft and develop talent. And so I think what they may be thinking is, look, we had all of these older players that are on huge contracts, so we're just going to clean house. We're going to eat all this dead money in 26, and we're just going to draft youth and play the kids for a year. It's a throwaway year so we can put them on the field and get them a year of experience. And then, so what? We only win 2 games, so we've got a top 5 pick, and we're picking at the top of every draft next year. I think that this is a hard rebuild. It's a total reset. If they were honest with Willis about what they were doing, they're like, look, we're going to be hot garbage this season, so don't worry about it. You're our guy. We're building for the future. That's the other side of it. Of course, since it's the Miami Dolphins, it may also just be a continuing story in their past 40 years of futility and incompetence.
You raise really, really good points there that got me to lighten up, because I was going to be full of piss and vinegar, quite frankly. And because you have almost $200 million in dead money. That is insanity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Eagles, as you made a good point, and the Packers do a really good job of developing talent. And maybe this is a year he's going to take lumps, but you at least get to see if he's worth the money that you paid for. And then with high draft picks going forward, then you start to load up and surround them with proper weapons. I get it, but when you first signed that first veteran contract, this isn't what you're expecting. He basically was promised a penthouse, and he bought an outhouse.
Yeah, and we still don't know if Malik Willis is going to be a capable starting quarterback over the course of a 17-game season. We've seen so many instances of backup quarterbacks who get 3 or 4 games to audition their talents. They look great.
Matt Flynn, anyone?
Yes, yeah. Matt Flynn is like the biggest example of that. But I'm also thinking about Trent Green. He did end his career on a good note over in Kansas City. But Trent Green was another one of those. And of course, Kyle, as a Rams fan, that Trent Green is essential in talking about the legend of Kurt Warner.
He was our Wally Pipp.
Yeah. So, you just never know if they're going to show the promise. Of course, that's another Titans connection, since the Titans gave up on Malik Willis for like a cup of coffee a couple of years ago. So
imagine that,
we'll
y'all.
see how that turns out to him. In other quarterback news,
here we come.
The Kansas City Chiefs have found themselves a new quarterback.
I love this move, by the way.
Yes, in case you didn't hear the news, they signed Justin Fields away from the New York Jets, and Fields is going to be their QB2, but for training camp and probably the entire preseason and maybe for the first month or 2 of the regular season, Mr. Fields is likely to be the Chiefs QB1. Not that he's more talented than Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL and a second ligament in his knee back in December. Now, we've talked about this many times. Knee injuries take a full calendar year to heal. Now, for those of you who watched the first season of Netflix's documentary Quarterback, we see that Mahomes is a freak athlete who has a workout regimen that is literally from another planet. I mean, he is astounding in terms of the work that he puts in on his body. So I am sure that he is going to be rehabbing like a madman. But here is the reality for Patrick Mahomes. He's 29 years old now, 28, 29, something around there?
Yeah, he's getting close to 30.
Right. He's not at 30 yet, but your body does not heal the same as you push 30 as it did when you were starting out your career 22, 23, 24. Things take a little bit longer to heal. So at the very least, I think that we probably shouldn't expect to see Mahomes starting a game for the Chiefs until October. I don't think he's going to be ready until October, and he may not be ready by then. And so I think that Fields, if he stays within himself, if he focuses on the things, and I'm sure Andy Reid will do this, if Andy Reid focuses on the things that Justin can do well, which are, the short passes, the slant routes, hey, see this guy? That's Travis Kelce. He'll be open, throw him the ball. and then if he's not, just run. I think that they can actually spend the first 4 weeks of the regular season, depending on their schedule, going 2-2 with Fields as a starting quarterback. And once Mahomes comes back, if he stays healthy, let's say the Chiefs open up a 3-touchdown lead on the Raiders. Okay, you pull Mahomes after 3 quarters and you let Fields play mop-up duty and you let Mahomes rest. So, I agree with you, Kyle. As soon as I saw this, I thought, that's a good move. That's exactly what the Chiefs needed to do to maximize Mahomes' chances of being healthy and playing at his best in the second half of the upcoming season.
And before you continue, I know you have other thoughts that you want to get to. This move couldn't be any better for Justin Fields if he asked for it, and here's why. I've always said wherever you get drafted in the NFL, your circumstances matter more than your ability. And we all know he has amazing ability, especially physical tools. We know he still in the NFL. He only Lamar Jackson might be a better running quarterback than Justin Fields. However, he was drafted by the Chicago Bears. And again, we have stated time and time again, there are rules unwritten in the NFL that the Chicago Bears are not allowed to be able to develop a great quarterback. Caleb Williams will be great in spite of them. Then he goes to the Jets. Yeah. Excuse me?
The worst franchise in the league. The absolute dregs of the NFL.
He went from one bad situation per his position to the worst. Your circumstances matter.
Yeah, let's not forget he played well for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, eventually he got yanked for Russell Wilson, but I didn't agree with that choice at the time that was made. I thought Justin was playing well enough to keep that starting job in Pittsburgh.
I did as well, by the same token, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not that great at developing quarterbacks that are already not generational type players.
Yeah, exactly.
If you look at their history, yes, I said the quiet thing out loud. Terry Bradshaw was the number 1 overall pick. Yes, he had a bad rookie year, but he went on to become a Hall of Famer. Ben Roethlisberger won 15 games as a starter in 2004, and eventually he developed into the player that we now know him to be. Look at the other quarterbacks that the Steelers have drafted or young quarterbacks they've had to develop throughout, whether it be my lifetime or a little bit before. Mark Malone stunk in the league.
Yeah.
Cordell Stewart. They could not get him right.
I hate Cordell Stewart anyway. I'm glad he failed.
We know. Sir, This is a Wendy's. But he is one. But this Fields is a guy that has not had the right circumstances to be cultivated into the quarterback that people believed he could be when he was drafted. Andy Reid knows what to do with a dual threat quarterback. He drafted and developed Donovan McNabb. He knows what to do with a strong arm quarterback. Look at the one he has now. He had a hand in developing Brett freaking Favre.
Yeah.
I think this is a great situation for him to learn.
Yeah. Kyle, I'll throw out one more name for you. Do you remember who Justin Fields was compared to coming out of college, one of his NFL comps?
You better not say Michael Vick.
I'm going to say Michael Vick. Who coached Vick in Pittsburgh? It was Andy Reid.
It was Andy Reid. Or no, Philadelphia. And
Philadelphia. I'm sorry. Yes, Philadelphia.
Who turned Michael Vick into the passer.
Yeah.
Everyone hoped he would be Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that Vick comparison, seeing what Reid did with Vick in Philadelphia, I think he's going to do the same thing. Yeah, it's a perfect situation for Justin Fields. It's a great move by the Kansas City Chiefs. There is obviously one more quarterback that I'm going to talk about.
Kyler Murray.
The Vikings did what everyone thought they were going to do, the worst kept secret. I mean, this was like getting a Christmas present as a grown-up where you already know everything that's wrapped up under the tree before you open it. But by the way, folks, keep sending me those short jokes, okay? Just keep sending them to me. I'm keeping all of the receipts.
You know how nice it is for someone else to receive short jokes and not be me for once?
Some of the Game of Thrones meme was really, really clever. And
Tyrion Lannister is my spirit animal.
But anyway, I'm gonna tell you a short story, and this is going to be my preseason commentary about Kyler Murray and how I think things are going to work out for the Vikings. This is an old Chinese parable, and many of you have probably heard this story before, and maybe you've heard it in a different version, but this is the version that was told to me. There was an old farmer in China who only owned one horse. He had one horse to do all of his farming, and one day the horse ran away. And his neighbors came to him and said, well, that's just terrible. You must be really broken up that your horse ran away. And the old farmer shrugged and said, I don't know. It might be good. It might be bad. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Well, after about a week, his horse returned, and he had brought an entire herd of wild Mustangs along with him. So now he had like 24 horses on his property. And his neighbors came by and saw all these horses and said, well, that's wonderful. You must just be thrilled that you have all of these horses now. This is terrific. And the old farmer says, well, we'll have to wait and see. It might be good. It might be bad. I don't know yet. And so his son went outside and tried to start to break one of these wild horses so it could be used on the farm. And he was on the back of one of these horses, and it threw him off, and the boy fell and broke his leg. And this was his only son. It was the only help that he had on the farm. And as he's splinting his son's leg, his neighbors came up and said, oh, this is just terrible. You must be heartbroken. Your son has broken his leg, and he's not going to be able to help you. This is terrible news for you. And the old farmer shrugged and said, it might be good. It might be bad. It's too early to tell. We'll have to wait and see. And just a few days later, the Chinese army marched right past his farm, and they were going to war and conscripting young men to go and fight in war, but they passed up the farmer's son because his leg was broken and he couldn't march and he couldn't fight. And once again, we don't know. And that's where I am with Kyler. We don't know. We don't know what Kyler is going to be. Can he return to his 2021 form where he was in the conversation as MVP? Can he have as good of a season as he showed in 2024? Can Kevin O'Connell work with an undersized mobile quarterback who likes to scramble, who likes to create when situations fall down? Will Kyler have the patience to wait for some of O'Connell's route schemes to develop downfield? Does he still have the arm strength to push that ball downfield to Jefferson and Addison? What does this mean for J.J. McCarthy? Will they trade him? Will they keep him? Will they continue his development? If Kyler fails, will they turn to J.J. next? We don't know. And everyone who thinks that they do know, everyone who's talking about the Vikings in Minnesota media and the national media, me sitting right here, we simply don't know what's going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen to Sam Darnold during his year with the Vikings. And after that ended, we didn't know what was going to happen with him in Seattle. So nobody knows what's going to happen with Kyler Murray. You may have opinions. They may be accurate, they may be not. You'd be just as accurate probably throwing darts at a dartboard or rolling dice or examining chicken guts if voodoo happens to be your thing. We simply don't know, and so I'm going to withhold judgment. I'm going to wait and see what Kyler looks like in OTAs, in mini camp, in training camp. I'm especially going to look and see what he looks like in a couple of series in the preseason. I really want to see what J.J. McCarthy looks like playing the bulk of the snaps in preseason. I want to see if Kyler can get through the majority of the season without getting hurt. There's a lot of things that I'm just waiting to see because I don't yet know if it's good or if it's bad. But I know this for certain. If we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings and we're talking quarterbacks, it's always very, very interesting. In the same sense as the old Chinese proverb, which is also a curse, which says, "May you have an interesting life."
Ooh.
Oh,
May you have an interesting life. Listen, I'm glad that you're taking this approach, and I wish more people would. We don't know what's going to happen. People have their own thoughts, and based off of previous experiences and what we've seen with Kyler on the field and things of that nature. But we don't know. He could return to form. It could wash out. Let's wait and see for once. Have some patience, people.
Yeah, and we'll add one more word about the Vikings offseason moves because this affects you. They lost their punter Ryan Wright to free agency. He signed a ridiculous deal with the New Orleans Saints. So yesterday it was announced that the Vikings have signed former Rams All-Pro punter and last season's punter with the Tennessee Titans, Johnny Hekker.
That's right.
To a one-year contract. And Hekker in the past has just had a tremendous leg, but he's also been in the league for a lot of time. I mean, even though he's a special team specialist, I think that he has exactly the kind of leadership that Kevin O'Connell was always looking for in the Vikings locker room. So I really like this addition to the Vikings special teams.
I dig it too, man, especially as a guy. Like, we had him for a lot of years in St. Louis, and when we could not move the ball, that man knew how to flip the field. And not only that, he's extremely pinpoint with if you need a coffin corner punt, he is great for that. We were at the game where he got to throw a pass against Seattle, which led to a clutch fourth down conversion, which let us ice that game to beat the Seahawks. Somehow I remember that, although I might have had a little bit too much to partake on prior to us sitting down at that game. But I do remember Johnny Hekker throwing a fourth down conversion on a fake punt to Benny Cunningham to beat the Seahawks. But he's been a tremendous punter for a long time. And again, people sometimes undervalue having a great punter.
Yeah,
it really comes in handy. And you're in a tough division,
right?
With some really good offenses that are only going to get better in Chicago and Detroit. Yeah. So you need a guy that can pin offenses like that deep and make them have to go run the length of the field. So that's a great pickup.
Yeah, and with the strength of the Vikings defense, field position, can make a huge difference in turning a game. Hey, before we close out the show today, Mike has got some breaking news about some all-state appointments.
Yes, the Missouri Basketball Coach Association has released all-state teams for classes 1, 2, and 3, released just a few minutes ago. In Class 1 girls, Southeast Missouri girls making that team were Grace Ansell and Lily McDonough from Delta. In Class 2 girls, Glow Farmer from Portageville, Parker Ernst from Neelyville are both on the all-state team. I don't think, Haley Dickey from Bismarck, which is a little bit north of our area, but not too much north of our area. In Class 3, we have the Rubel twins, Bree and Kate Rubel from St. Vincent, getting some recognition. Switching to the boys' side in Class 1, Owen Fortner from Risco made All-State. Brennan Malloy and Owen Sanders from Bunker made All-State. Jaden Mathis from Cooter, Ryan Jeffries from Delta, and also Brennan Malloy got Class 1 Player of the Year on the boys' side, as did Bunker coach Rod Gorman getting Class 1 Coach of the Year.
Wow, that's terrific. And we had Brennan as a guest on our show just a couple of weeks ago.
That's right. Switching to Class 2, the Haytide trio of Javante Payne, LaDon Webb, and Nikolai Combat all made the All-State team, as did Robert Farmer from South Pemiscot, Aiden Sullivan and Hayes Townsley from Van Buren, and last but certainly not least, Landon Burchell from Puxico getting All-State. And in Class 3, the Woodland duo of Corbin Kinder and Calvin Layton both made the All-State team, as did Braden Walton from Scott City. One more thing before we go. We have an update on the Donovan girls. They are down 23-21 at halftime to St. Joe Benton. Probably by the time the show goes on the air, that game will be final. But, still, that's been a battle because that's a rematch of last year's state championship game.
Yeah, and just a 2-point deficit at halftime, so nothing to get too worried about. But we will definitely be watching the progress of the Donettes and keep an eye out for our Facebook page for all of the latest updates from Southeast Missouri sports.
Indeed, and that's our show for this week. Next week, we are hoping to have a preview of the Major League Baseball season here on the Sports Desk, and I'm going to have a few thoughts about the St. Louis Cardinals, and I'm pretty sure Mark and Kyle will as well. But for this week's show, I'm Mike Bueller.
I'm Mark Sanders.
And I'm Kyle Roberts.
And you have been listening to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.